Hello and welcome to Gryffindor Global's presentation on our trip to an employment tribunal in Exeter. The format of this presentation will be myself as a questioner will be asking my group members questions, trying to provide insight on a personal note into our visit and what was a really interesting tribunal day. Okay, so we'll start with Orhan. Orhan, what ethical issues did we encounter in our visit to the court?
There were three main ethical issues that we encountered. First being that of confidentiality for the defense and the claimants. Anyone could walk in to the tribunal at any time, which meant that neither the defendant nor the claimant have any privacy, although they would probably desire it. Although we do know that in certain situations the case can be socially sensitive, or the nature of the tribunal could mean that not anyone could see it.
Yeah.
And in this case there is confidentiality. However, most of the time the tribunals are open to the public, so there's a lack of privacy.
Okay.
And furthermore, consent isn't provided,
No.
so the claimants or defendants don't consent to the hearing being public, which is an issue.
Yeah.
And in certain cases where, for example, the one we saw was sexual harassment case, the embarrassing questions can be asked to the defendants or claimants.
I think it noticeably made the person quite uncomfortable, didn't it? So I think we noticed that was an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, and now we're going to have Zuha. Thank you. Alright, so thank you, Zuha. So Zuha, what representations of power are apparent in the court layout that we noticed as a group?
Well, speaking towards the layout, firstly, the tribunal judge sat in the center on a little bit of a raised platform, which implied the power that he had in the court.
Yeah.
On either side of him, you had the laymen. Being on either side signified that they were supporting the judge in his decision. And speaking to power, once again, it also shows that it's not simply legal expertise that is needed in the tribunal, but also expertise in employment matters, which is what the laymen are there for.
Yeah.
The witness, being neutral, is in the middle. The respondent and claimant are obviously separate from each other, and that sums up the layout of the employment tribunal.
Thank you much, Zuha. And now we're going to have a brief talk about technology in the courtroom, and that's going to be done by She. Okay, so She, what sort of technology did we encounter in the courtroom, and how do we notice it being used?
First of all of our phones must be off,
Yeah.
and the tribunals actually not being recorded. However, there may be laptops for present or for the parties' personal use. So, besides that, the judges can also reach their colleagues by using telephone.
Okay.
And he himself is also using the laptops during the procedures.
So that's it. It's very basic.
Yeah, it's very basic.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now with Carmen. Okay, so Carmen, in your eyes, what is the role of the adjudicator, and are the parties, defendants, and claimants represented? And if so, who by?
Actually, the tribunal judge is the adjudicator, and their role is to make the overall judgment. But the layman people provide a good sight into what the best outcome and assist the judge in making decisions.
Okay.
In the tribunal, the defendant or accountant can stand before the judge with their legal representation. However, it's normal to have a solicitor present.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Carmen. And finally, I think possibly two of the toughest questions we have Han. He's going to answer some questions on what is the relevance of the law to the proceedings you observed, and also how much is it procedure and how much was the case theory?
There's not very much to say about this.
No, there's not. No.
Yeah, so the majority of the case was procedures and going through the movements,
Yeah.
and that there was not the frequent reference to the case law, but however there was a few acts to mention in the case.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it was pretty minimal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, and finally, closing off with the tough question. How closely does it resemble, do you think, the law that we've experienced so far in our legal studies?
I would say it's not to a very great extent. What we've experienced so far in our legal studies are mainly legal theories, but in practice, the court cases focus more on procedures without referring to the theories too often. And for example, in this case, the representatives of the claimant and the respondent submit their evidence of the sexual harassment incident and speak for their clients, and the judge would occasionally direct the witness to understand the case, and that's it.
That's pretty much it. Thank you very much. Okay. Just a quick note on the structure of our grouping. Obviously, it's only half of our group currently here, and that's because half our group actually attended the court day and then noted back to us. So we thought this was best because then we could split up our group into 2 sections, everyone could do something, and no one would feel marginalised. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening to Gryffindor Global's presentation on the Employment Tribunal.